Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see such a good bunch out tonight, and you all look so great, and that's wonderful. I have a special duty tonight. I am not introducing the speaker, but I'm introducing two wonderful speakers, and they happen to be sisters, and I'm sure they're not going to be strangers to most of you. But tonight we're going to be hearing from, Irene's the oldest. Irene Wisel, and from, let me see, what's this other girl's name? Well, anyways, her baby's sister, the one that's younger than Irene. And her name's Louise. Okay. Louise Porter. But that's who we're going to be hearing from. And I've got them scared to death about what I'm going to say. Because when Irene said, "Would you introduce us?" I go, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy." I said, "Can I tell all the secrets I know about you girls?" And she said she's scared to death what I'm going to tell tonight. Well, we'll see what I come up with. But anyways, I've known these girls for years and years, and I tried to say, "What year did you guys come into the church, And we couldn't figure it out. Maybe somebody will have the date, but I don't have it. And in fact, I'm one of these people that I can't remember what I had for breakfast, so how would I remember, the date that they came into the church? So I have to let that go. But we'll find out probably a little bit about it from their conversations. But we've known them for so long, and we've loved them so much all those years. They were in our church there at Angola, where they came in and gave their hearts to the Lord. And I'm telling you, they were special people. God calls people to do different things. Some of you have been called, and maybe you worked with children, or you ministered to women, just certain things, and you knew God just opened up the doors for you, and there you would be talking to someone or doing something for someone. Well, these two girls have had a special calling on their life, and I've never had any doubts about it. God called them to be prayer warriors. Am I right, girls? Huh?
Whatever you say.
Oh, all right, whatever I say. But listen, we were, as pastors there in the Angola church for so many, many years that they were in there, we were recipients of a lot of their prayers. And I tell you, it was something. We used to get up. My husband and I would go to church at 6 o'clock in the morning. We'd have prayer, and then we'd have to buzz home, get kids off to school, and then we'd come back and spend the day at church working in the office and everything. And then when we'd come back to the church, these two gals would be in the church praying up a storm. And they did. And they would pray and get a hold of God. And many times they would come up to Daryl's office, and they'd say, knock on the door, and they'd say, "God told us to come and pray for you. Is that all right?" And of course, you don't turn down. If somebody wants to pray for you, you just say, "Oh yeah, come ahead." And they'd come in and lay hands on him, pray for him, walk out. And I mean, this was just a common thing. It wasn't an everyday thing, but there's certain times that God would lay in their heart to go pray for Pastor Beck. And it would be a lot of times when he'd just having a down day, of course, he lived with me. He couldn't have hardly any down days, but he would have down days once in a while. And so they'd come in there and pray for him. And I tell you, we really depended on the prayer of these girls. They were always there. They were the Saturday night prayer meetings. They were there when we needed them, and we could say, pray for so-and-so. And they didn't go blab it. They would pray about it. And that meant a lot. And if we had prayers, that we needed, and they would come, maybe they'd come by the office and say, anything special we should pray for today? And we'd tell them, if there was somebody that had a special need or something, and they would reach out to God. So you're very definitely prayer warriors, and you've been prayer warriors, and not just for a year or two, but for years and years and years. This has been going on. Pastor Josh can be so thankful he's got them here in this church backing him up in prayer, because they know how to get a hold of God, and it really means a lot. And so I'm going to ask them to come up here. They want me to pray for them before they start. I don't know why, but they're scared to death of all of us people tonight. And they said, would you pray for me before you sit down? So we're going to do that, okay? We're going to believe God to just be with you in a special way. Precious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for these two precious, precious sisters that you've given us, Lord. They mean so much to us, Lord, and they've meant so much to us down through the years, Lord, how they've lifted us up when we've needed them, and they've always been there. And right now, Lord, we're praying for them. They seem to be scared of us tonight, Lord, and they don't have anything to be scared about. We love them, and we care about them, and we're backing them up in prayer. And Lord, give them the things to say that you want them to share tonight, Lord. Things that may touch somebody's heart, Lord, that has a special need or something. And just minister through them and use them for your glory. For we're just asking all this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen and amen. God bless you both.
And
we
now,
love you.
Sister Beck, we want to thank you for everything you've done and how you affected us. And would everyone in this audience stand up that she has affected them?
Oh,
Look at all those people. Yay!
Here's your mic.
You're doing a fine job. You just want to stay up here?
No.
Go ahead. I got paper right there. Just read it off.
Yeah.
Rachel.
Sorry.
Oh, my. Yeah, just mute her. Man, this is really a good crowd. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you being here. Oh, man, here we go already. Hey, and I want to say hi to Connie and June and Penny and Sharon and Martha and Diane. They couldn't make it tonight, but they're watching online, so now I'm going to forget they're there because I don't like Okay. Does everybody have coffee and water, everything? Yep. Make yourself comfortable because God's been really good to us. Okay. Louise and I are blessed to be born into a Christian family. We are 2 of 8 children. We were more like 3. Oh, wait a minute. Forgot these. More like 3 families. There was the older 5, and then 6 years later, I was born. 2 years after that, Louise was born. And then 7 years later, our baby brother Rick was born. We were born in a 4-room house, and most of us were born at home except for Rick. He got to be born in the hospital, but Dad delivered most of us. And when I say a 4-room house, I mean a 4-room house. I don't mean a 4-bedroom home. And a bathroom was not one of the rooms. It was out back. So needless to say, during the Depression, it got crowded because aunts and uncles and cousins came to live with us, because we were the rich ones, because we lived on a potato and onion farm, and we had livestock, so we had food. We moved when we were like 4 and 6 to the mansion in the Beta Mills. We would have church in our home, so we knew of the Lord, but we never knew the Lord or made a commitment until we went to a tent revival in our early teens. We went forward, but soon went back into the world. We both got married and started our families. We were very close. Our kids grew up together, played together all the time, cut Barbie's hair together. I mean, they were good kids. Then one day, our lives were turned upside down. I'll let Louise tell you what happened.
Okay, I have 5. No, not good. Okay, thank you. I have 5 children. It's Julie, Jeannie, Doug, Heather, and Janelle. I have 16 grandkids and 17 greats. But my true salvation was a result
of the most painful event in my life, a divorce. I remember calling my dad and mom and having them come over to my house and talking to me about the Lord. I had always known about God, but I did not really know him or love him. I remember Dad saying, God will help you through this and use it for good. I said, if this is for my good, then why does it hurt so bad? The pain was so bad that I could not eat or sleep. Only God knows that kind of pain, and only he can heal it. I started going to church and talking to God a lot. God used several people to let me know that everything would be all right. He used a bill collector's phone call to tell me there would be joy in the morning. He used a neighbor boy to bring us hot dogs for lunch when we had no food. As I look back, I realized that those were days and months of teaching me to depend on God and to trust him in all things. I could not have made it without my church, my prayer group, prayer partners, and the foundation that Brother and Sister Beck instilled in my life. I'm so very thankful for that. And now my kids are going to share part of how they were affected, or whatever they want to say. Yeah.
Hey, I want to eat that cake.
Just
knew
like
we
in
were
the
gonna
picture in
sit
there.
together. Yeah.
Gee, one of us got to lose some
Well,
weight.
Listen, I am nervous and I'm sweaty. So,
I'm here for a memorial sport.
yeah. Yeah, I'm super nervous. And when Mom said, "Oh, hey, I'm going to give my testimony," I thought, "Yay, Mom, go for it. You do you, yay!" And then she tells us that we have to talk. And I'm thinking, how in the world do I get drug into this stuff? It happens. It happens a lot, Mom. It happens a lot. Anyway. My name is Julie. I'm the oldest, and I am pretty sure that I am the favorite. I mean,
I'm
right?
Jeannie.
But I probably wasn't always the favorite because I was a little ornery. Uh-huh. I had a little bit of a mean streak, and I was super rebellious. I know, it's hard to but when I was talking to Mom about what I was going to say, I said, you know, the timeline of how everything happened for me, it was like all screwed up. I don't remember how certain things happened or how old I was or anything, but so I'm going to talk about how I got saved. And when Mom got saved, I thought, oh, yay, good, Mom's saved, yay, go Mom. And then I figured out what that meant for me. That meant I'm going to have to go to church. I'm going to have to go to church every Sunday. I'm going to have to go to church not just on Easter and not just on Christmas, but I'm going to have to go every Sunday. And I was not happy. I was mad. I did not want to go to church. I did not pick this. I just did not want to be there. And so a lot of times I would try to figure out, okay, how am I going to get out of going to church? Because you can only be sick so many Sundays. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to break my leg. Because if you break your leg, you can't go to church, right? You can't go to church with a broken leg. So I honestly think I was sitting in the church parking lot in the car, and so I opened the car door, stuck my leg out, and I slammed the door. And oh my gosh, did that hurt? And I thought, I am never doing that again. I had my blood running down my leg, and I thought, oh man, that really hurt. I got to figure out something different.
She still had to go to church.
Yeah, I still had to go to church. So the next Sunday, I thought, okay, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to make her life miserable. I am not going to let her drag me to church. I am going to be so mean, and she's not even going to want me to go to church. So that didn't work either because she drugged me, and I mean kicking and screaming, got me in the car. We drove to church, and I was not getting out of that car. I was not. She was going to have to drag me, and she did. I am hanging on to the door.
That's true.
It is
true.
true. I'm not exaggerating. I'm hanging onto the door, and she is pulling me. And I'm telling you what, I think God gives new Christians supernatural strength because she pulled me off that door and into the church, and I was so mad. And so I'm sitting there like this in the pew, and I'm thinking, I am not standing up. I am not singing. I am not doing anything. I am not going to feel a thing. And how many times has God used that? I'm not going to feel a thing. I'm going to make you feel everything. I'm going to make you feel everything. It was like a challenge. So during the service, I'm sitting there, and I even remember what I was wearing. I was wearing this really cool white swishy coat, and you could unzip the sleeves and make it a vest, so it was a really cool vest. But every time you would move, it would swish, sorry. And so we were sitting there, and he gave the altar call, and swish, my arm goes up, and so I hobble to the altar because I tried to break my leg the week before. So I get and I give my heart to the Lord for the first time. And I say for the first time because I've probably done it a million times since then, just to make sure, So that was that part. The divorce part, I don't remember a whole lot about the divorce because Mom shielded us from all the gory details of everything that she was going through and all the pain. I remember the sadness. I remember hearing Mom cry. And you said this too, that you remembered Grandma and Grandpa coming over. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be one of those kids at school from a broken family. And I couldn't believe it, that this was happening. And I remember, like when Dad would come and get us, I didn't want to be happy. I didn't want to have fun with him because I thought I was betraying my mom. I didn't want her to see me happy because then it would think like that her pain and stuff didn't mean anything to me. So that was hard. But the sadness and, and all of that comes with the divorce, and the tears and the crying and everything, I would not wish that on my worst enemy, because it was painful and we were never going to be the same. But would I trade it? Would I make anything different? No, because God used that. He changed our life, but he used that. And if anything would have been different, if God would have changed it we would not have Janelle. We would not have, I would not have my sister. And I could not imagine my life without my sister. And so I wouldn't, I wouldn't change anything. Now later, I was tempted with a very handsome older guy, and some people might have called it a mistake or an accident, but I call it the biggest blessing of my life, and it came in the form of a 7-pound baby girl named Jamie Ellen Louise. And that's the other thing God orchestrated. Jamie and Janelle, they grew up almost like sisters, super close. Sometimes I would forget that Janelle was my sister, because Jamie and her were so close, and I just can't believe how God used all of that, a horrible situation, to be so beautiful and so good for our family. And I had Jeremy then afterwards, and to this day he keeps me on my knees. But I have a wonderful husband, 39 years. He has loved me through the good, through the bad, and through the ugly. And I am so thankful. What do you want to say?
Well, when she went up, and it was all true, they did drag her, and we sat back, the rest of us, Doug and Heather, thought we are just going to stay out of the way. We just ran into church so we didn't get in trouble. So, because she always had Mom on her toes. Mm-hmm. So we didn't push our luck. So, but when I heard the swoosh, she grabbed me, and I was right up there with her. Mm-hmm. So, but through it all, and it's true, everything was true a blessing. And my thoughts, I don't talk as much as Julie, but mine was, through it was stability, security, and unconditional love. Sorry. One thing I do remember of that night was, as Mom's dragging her in, I'm looking around going, it's so dark and gloomy. But when we gave our heart to the Lord that night, we walked out and the stars were shining. Mm-hmm. And the air was so crisp and clean. It was just, it was a new beginning. Mm-hmm. And he brought us through a lot. Mm-hmm. So, but
I'm done.
I'm done too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So good luck the rest of you girls.
Yes.
Sorry. We love you.
Thank you. You're next, Joe.
Hello, I'm Jody. I'm Louise's best daughter-in-law, right?
Yeah.
You love me the most,
Yeah.
more than Julie. Come on, say it. Her daughter Heather is on vacation in Mexico, and she had wrote a letter, and I'm going to read it for Heather, okay?
Right.
My mom asked me to write something concerning my thoughts on my parents' divorce and how it affected me and any thoughts I had on it. I was not able to come tonight because I'm in Mexico. Sorry, not sorry, Mom. That's Heather. I am sure I'm on the beach right now anyway. Coming from my own experience, divorce takes a major toll on your soul. It damages you, and it is something you never really get over, even if it is, for the lack of a better word, a warranted divorce. It still is devastating to your soul. I know my mom feels the same way. I can remember the agony for her. As far as mine goes, it was a horrible experience and one I think back on and regret often. Do not get me wrong, I love my family and my husband now, but the toll it took on everyone is hard for me to forgive myself. As far as my mom and her experience, I only really think of the good things from it. A good mother, I feel, is one that best gifts. I feel is one, I don't know what the heck she's saying here, sorry, let me try to figure it out here. Is one of the best gifts you can give ever in this world. I got this with my mom, and is the one thing that I am so thankful for. As you know, we don't get to choose. So she's happy you're a mom.
Yeah, that's
yes,
good.
Okay, I got that out.
That's nice.
Would she be the same person if things would have been different in her life? If she would have stayed with my dad, would she still be a good Christian mom she is to all of us? I would not be willing to risk that for anything, so hopefully she knows that's how I feel about it. She may have been a different person if things would have been different between her and my dad. I may not be as godly as my mom would like me to be, but just think how I might be without a mom like her. Whew, yeah? I'm teasing, Heather. See, now I do not seem so bad, Mom. She's so funny. I am not sure this is the kind of letter they were asking for, but it was what what comes to my mind when I think of the divorce and her being the Christian she is. I love you, Mom, and I am so grateful for you. I would not change one thing or decision you've made. Love, Heather. And then it says, P.S. I know my sister Julie's letter is probably way better than mine, but she's a suck-up in the family. That's all, Heather Joe, you bet. So I am married to Doug. So I've been with Doug 34 years. So I've known you 34 years. So much. When I asked Doug what he wanted to say, he's a man of few words. I mean, he'll open up when he wants to, and if he don't, he don't. So, but he said he loves you very much.
Yeah, that's good.
You're too generous. You're funny. And when I asked him about the divorce, here it comes. It was bad, really bad. That's what he said. He didn't want to elaborate at all. He didn't like it.
Yeah.
Hey, these are quotes. But it showed him what kind of man, husband, and dad he wanted to be and not be.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. He has many of Louise's characters and traits. Great personality, loyal, fierce, generous, funny, devoted. I could go on. Lovable. He has a great childhood. He had a great childhood, yes. And Irene, hanging out with your family and all the other cousins. He had a great childhood. And you stuck up for him with the DNR and any neighbors that would have come. If he caused trouble, you stuck up for him. Covering him, skipping school.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one day we were skipping school and we just drove around. We didn't do anything. And we were out in the country, and he's like, oh, I think that's my mom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because I would have got grounded if I got caught. And so we waited, and she pulls up. She's like, hey, what are you guys doing? We're like, well, skipping school, just driving around. Oh, you want me to call school for you? Yeah, that'd be nice. I know, she's a great mom. Great mom. But yeah, and being married to Doug for, 28 years or whatever, you can just tell how he talks and what he does and how he does it, that he believes in marriage and, is working really hard to keep us. And he's just the best. You really did a great job on him. I couldn't ask for somebody else. I mean, he's a stinker, but he's great. As for Cale, my son, I didn't like this, but I didn't have time to elaborate. You planted the Jesus seed.
yeah.
You planted
Yeah.
it, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
And about 6 years ago, Cale, works for a farmer. He drives semis, and he was driving a semi, and some young man decided he wanted to take his life in my son's semi. He drove head-on into him. He did die, but it really messed Cale up. He was fine physically, but his mental was, it was really bad, and I didn't know what to do for him. He didn't really like talking about it because men and emotions just don't mesh. But he was a mess. I was really scared for him. Louise, in your experience, you had a similar, and she was able to talk to him. about that, because he was drinking, trying to help himself. He couldn't sleep. Oh, it was horrible. But he did say that you talking to him about drinking and just talking with him about the accident, and, you know, it really helped him, and he's thankful for that. You know, it doesn't sound like much, but it was huge, wasn't it? It was a really long time. And cleaning his houses.
Oh,
Cleaning his houses. Matt, my other son, is in the military. Didn't really get to talk to him much. I know he loves and misses you, though. And he's thankful for coming to sporting events. And he used to get concussions from playing football. And then, you know, once you get a concussion, they just keep coming and coming. And she'd just come right over and lay hands on him. And, you know, sometimes she shook his concussed head, but, you know, got to get it done. So, but we are so thankful for those prayers, because that was, concussions are bad. And my daughter, Sarah, is thankful for all the prayers and just hanging out and having fun. And easy to talk to, Grandma. All my kids loved going to garage sales with you when they were little. That was a big to-do, to go to garage sales with Grandma. And the stuff they would buy, but that's okay. They liked it. And my daughter-in-law, Tiffany, who's married to Matt, said you brought her to the Lord.
oh, nice.
Yep.
That's the best gift of all.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, yep. Me, I just wrote weird notes, so hopefully I can make sense of them. You're my inspiration. You're hardworking, humble, generous, giving, thoughtful, loving. Your advice is amazing. You introduced me and brought me to Jesus. You truly did, because I had to go to church because I was dating Doug. Doug went to church, Jody went to church. I would never known any of that. You're so easy to talk to. You're helpful with no hesitation. You can out-clean me in any day. I had her over to help clean my mom. Over-cleaned my house with me after a little construction mess. I was tired. I kept saying, let's take a break. No, we could get this done. They're hard-working women there. The paper route. Remember the paper route? Louise had a paper route, and I helped her. The exchange was she did my laundry. And I helped her once a week do the paper route. But we had so much fun and talks, didn't we? That was great. Your prayers, even the anointed Kleenexes in the pillowcases. Oh, I know about that. Oh, yeah, I know about the anointed. Anybody else? Yeah. Anointed Kleenexes in the pillowcases. But I can think of one time I had constant back spasms, and I had missed work I was going on my 3rd week, and I was worried about losing my job, and I went to her shop, and I just said, can you come to my house after work and pray for my back? And I'm sure she probably had a million things to do, but you did. You came right over, maybe a 3-minute, laid your hands on, and then within 20 minutes, my back didn't even hurt. And God is good. God is good. Yeah. You always clean my house when I go away on vacations. I say, don't clean my house, but she cleans my house. All my laundry's done. I have new rugs and shower curtains usually. But it's okay. And you're the only one my dog loves. That when we go away,
And I hate dogs.
Nobody can go in my house but Louise. They're all mean and grouchy, and then they see Louise, they're like, Grandma, they love you too. And can I talk about Irene, or I have to wait?
No, you can.
You two are twins. I mean, I know there's 2 years difference, but you're twins. Every good thing about Irene is in Louise, and everything good about you is in Irene. You ladies are amazing. Doug has fond memories of you and your family and hanging out. Uncle Leroy is still cool. He remembers Cedar Point. That was always a blast for him. He enjoyed the family get-togethers, holidays, and spending the night at your house. You're a great lady. I wrote, I love you, and Irene. You've always made me feel part of the family, even when I was dating Doug. You're caring, thoughtful, prayer warrior. You're funny. You put on great parties and events and reunions. You know, that has to be a lot of work, and you miss it like that. We love your holiday garage sales. It's like, is it 4th of July yet? I enjoy visiting with you. Your family is beautiful and amazing. You both have been wonderful with your children and grandchildren. So, both godly women, and I'm blessed to know you both.
Thank you. I didn't
you.
expect that. Thank you, Joe. I just thought you were going to say how.
Oh, I have way more to say, but I'm really
Yeah.
nervous. But
How you got saved and whatever.
oh, go on.
No. Okay, I'm back.
Can you hear me? Good? Okay. Well, I couldn't stand to see my sister in pain, so I would go with her when she'd go over to Mom and Dad's. And so God started working on me. It came to the point where God kept me up for 3 nights straight. So finally I said, God, whatever you want. So I'm going to save you all a lot of time. Just give in right away. Do what God says. Everything will work out. Well, that week, God sent Vera, my sister, and Penny, my niece, over, and they invited me to go to the Nazarene church. I went, and I had everything on my mind that day except church. But at the end, I found myself at the altar, and my life was drastically changed. So thank you, girls, for inviting me. Okay, here I am. Louise and I were so hungry for more of God. One day we walked by the Good News bookstore. Does anyone remember the Good News bookstore uptown? Yes, I love that. Where's Pat? Pat Falk. Yes, there she is. She owned that. Anyhow, she had a poster in the window, and it said night song. So Louise and I thought it was a choir singing. So we thought we'd go visit the Assembly of God. We walked into that little church on Mill Street, and it was full of teenagers. It wasn't a choir, it was a film for the teenagers. And at the end of the film, this young punk kid, Kurt Howe, stood up and prayed, and he was so sincere. And our kids were just going into their teenage years, so we wanted that for them. So we started going to the Assembly of God. We were young Christians, so when Pastor Beck said we should pray an hour a day, we did. We would meet early in the morning and pray and then go on to work. So at 10 o'clock, our phone would ring every morning, and the kids would say, "What'd you get this morning, Mom?" Now I could call them and say, "Hey, kids, what'd you get?" It was during this time we drew close to the Lord. Prayer was always very special to us. I remember while I was cleaning Dave's room one day, I was so burdened for my family's salvation. I knelt by the bed and prayed. And that day he gave me the assurance that my children would be saved and that my family would be saved. His promises started to come to pass. First was Tammy. At the time, she was dating Jeff, but they had broke up. And then Jeff called her. Am I telling this truth? I'm telling the truth. Jeff called her and said he had gotten saved. Well, as good as Tammy was, and as many times as she went to church, she had never made the commitment. So Tammy, being organized, she's my organized one. So Tammy, being as organized as she was, she planned her salvation. That Sunday, her and all her friends sat on the front row at the old church on Mill Street, and when you was in that church, when you stood up in the front row, you was at the altar. It was that little. Well, she gave her heart to the Lord. Her and Jeff got back together. They got married, and the rest is history. The next was David. It was a Sunday night, and God had shown me that at the beginning of the service that Dave was going to get saved. Well, the end of the service came, Pastor Beck started to dismiss us in prayer. And I thought, I don't think it's supposed to end like this. But right in the middle of his dismissal prayer, he said, if God is showing you that you need to pray with someone, just go pray with them. So I got up, and I started to walk towards Dave, He was sitting with Doug, Louise's son, and they was kind of acting up. And when they saw me coming, they rolled their eyes. And they thought, oh no, here she comes. But Dave got saved that night. I gotta get the water. Before I tell you about Trina's salvation, let's go back 9 years. I was 6.5 months pregnant, and I went into labor. I called the doctor, and he said, it's way too early. Just come in, your body will naturally abort. So I went into the hospital on a Friday night. They got no heartbeat. I started hemorrhaging so bad that I had to have transfusions. At the time, the doctor said if the baby would have been alive, she would have drowned in my blood. Next, my temperature shot up to over 105. After they got it down, the nurse just came in and dumped alcohol all over me. It was so cold. But anyhow, after they got my temperature down, they said if the baby would have been alive, that she would have had brain damage from the fever. Don't say anything, Trina. I went into labor on a Sunday morning, and they still had not gotten a heartbeat. Went into labor, and I still remember the look on the doctor's face when she was born alive. And she was crying, and she hasn't shut up since. Okay, fast forward 9 years. I'm at the altar crying and praying. Louise and I spent a lot of time at the altar crying. And I felt a little hand on my shoulder. It was Trina, and she got saved that day. Then there was Terry. She was my challenge. She was a little rebellious. Many nights I stayed up and prayed for her. One Sunday morning I came into church, and Sister Beck said, is Terry okay? I was up all night praying for her, so I didn't have to carry it alone. Sister Beck helped me. Shortly after graduation, Terry decided she couldn't live by our rules, so she decided to move out. On top of the last load of her belongings, I laid the Bible that the church had given her at graduation. When Terry came back home, she was changed, and so was that Bible. It was almost worn out. And Terry, to this day, has such a special relationship because God gives her scriptures, and she can go right to it in the Bible and find it every time. Well, with all the changes going on around our home, my husband didn't know what to think. Leroy was quite the partier. One night I remember him coming home drunk, and he was under so much conviction. He laid there in bed and said, why did God do this to me? I never wanted a religious wife. So God was punishing him by me being Well, he quit drinking on his own, he says, but we all know different. But he was still a heavy smoker. It was Easter Sunday, and we were at Mom and Dad's, and as Dad took the ashtray with Leroy's ashes in it to the kitchen, Dad said he prayed, let this be the last cigarette that he ever has, and it was. In less than an hour, Leroy had a major heart attack at the age of 46. After they stabilized him in Angola, they took him on to Fort Wayne. The next day, he asked to see Brother Beck. He was in intensive care, so only 2 could go back. So David went back with him, with Brother Beck. When they came out, they didn't have to say a word. They were both smiling ear to ear. Leroy had gotten saved. I'm not going to say that. Louise and I were both blessed to have wonderful Christian parents. Dad's passing was quite unexpected at the age of 87 because Dad was so healthy. But as he lay there, he looked 30 or 40 years younger. He had a smile on his face, although we couldn't see the twinkle in his eye. He was with Jesus, and that's what he had worked his whole life for. Our baby brother Rick and Sandy came and lived with him, which we are so thankful for. Or came and lived with Mom to help take care of her. Our mother was a wonderful person. She had taught us how to be a Christian by the life she lived. And I drink water because this is going to be hard. The last several months of Mom's life were very hard. Mom never wanted to be a burden to anyone. But she lost all her strength and was bedridden, had to depend on us for everything. But she certainly wasn't a burden. Mom was always the peacemaker and knew just how to handle us. But it was hard for her to say, I love you. It was also hard for her to say goodbye. Remember, kids? Mm-hmm. But she just couldn't, that's just the age she was, or I don't know. I shared this with Louise one day, and I said, I just need to know that Mom loves me. And she smacked me. She's always smacking me. That's why she won the chairs closed, so she could smack me tonight. I'm being good. She said, of course she loves you. She loves all of us. So it was my insecurities, not anyone else's. Oh, that's the wrong page. Shortly before Mom passed, she had to go back into the hospital. So whenever Mom went into the hospital, we'd go in with her because we didn't want her to be alone. We wanted to take care of her. I remember sitting by her bed one night, though, and she's laying there dying. And she looked over at me and she said, are you warm enough? Did you eat today? And I'm supposed to be taking care of her. Right up until the end, she was taking care of us. I'm sorry. The last 3 days of Mom's life, they sent her home to die. I had stayed with Mom night and day when she came back home, but the last night I felt a release to go home. When I woke the next morning, I felt an urgency to get back over there. When I walked in, I hugged her, told her I loved her, and her breathing changed. She had been turned to the side of the room, looking to the side of the room, and she looked straight up as to look for Jesus. As she took her last breath, an amazing peace came in the room. And you could feel her spirit flutter away. My sister Irene was sitting on the other side of the bed, and she said, did you feel that? It felt like a little bird flying away. And then she said to me, Mom waited for you to be here before she died. To me, that was Mom's way of saying I love you. And it's not that Mom loved me anymore, but it's that God knew what I needed right then. Leroy and I have been married 57 years. We have 4 beautiful children, 13 grandchildren, 13 great-grandchildren. Leroy's had open heart surgery. He's had strokes. He's got 5 stents put in. He's a diabetic, numerous kidney stones removed. He's got an aneurysm, has a pacemaker put in, and now they're saying he has congestive heart failure. But God is so faithful, and he has been with us every step of the way. What Satan meant for bad with Louise's divorce, God turned around and made good. Look how many of us in the family have been saved through that divorce. I think Karina's got something she wants to say. Do you want to sit here, sis? Or Yeah, you just go ahead, sing a song to or something.
As I am listening to them talk and seeing my cousins who are like my sisters, Tammy and Terry, I'm the talker of the group, so I'm representing them and my brother Dave as well. But I think of Mom and Aunt Louise as two moms. I really wouldn't be here without them, literally and spiritually. I would not have survived. And I know Tammy and Terry the same way. Tana, all of our family, these two ladies are the rock that holds our family together. Our grandma and grandpa were amazing, and God kept them both here on this earth until it was time for them to go. But when that happened, my aunts and uncles and my Aunt Louise and my mom, everybody rallied together and rose to the occasion, and Grandma and Grandpa would be so proud of them, of all of them, the sisters and brothers, and they've really taught us all how to go through the hard times, and even when we're angry with God, it's okay, because God knows, and he does not hold that against us. He knows that we're human. He knows that we have those emotions, and it's frustrating sometimes. And God, I'm serving you. I'm trying to serve you, even though I'm very flawed. And why are these bad things happening to my family or to myself? Or why do I have to watch the painful things? But yet, through those painful times, these two women have taught us to cry, to kick, to scream, but to still stand, even when you do not know how to take your next breath. Even when you don't think, I'm not going to make it one more second. I knew I could call them, and I did about every day. I knew they came to prayer, and at 10 o'clock, I knew they were done with prayer, so I would say, what'd you guys get? Part of Mom's testimony. What'd you guys hear from the Lord? Well, finally, she started to make me grow up a little bit, and she would say, what did you get, Trina? What did you hear from God? Well, I don't hear from God like you and Aunt Louise do. And she said, yes, you do. And she taught me, she taught my sister, she taught my brother how to walk out our salvation, how to really get alone with God for ourselves and not lean on these two spiritual giants. They are spiritual giants. They are tiny, both tiny in stature and very quiet, but they are mighty, mighty, mighty in the Lord, and no one can compare to their prayer life. I'm like, how does anyone pray that many hours? I can talk that many hours, but probably I should be talking that many hours to God, right? But they just have this passion that burns in them, and they taught all of us how to really rise up through those hard times. And when you don't know how to even breathe, take your next breath, just to cry out to the Lord and say, Jesus. Because sometimes that's all you have. Sometimes that's the only thing. You literally, groanings can come out of you. I know we've all gone through it, death or divorce or miscarriages, or there are no words for that pain. And sometimes all you can do is groan that, and you're crying out for survival. There's just no way, and sometimes we don't even want to live. I know many of us have been there, but these two women, I would call them and say, I need you. As early as like 2 days ago, I'm still calling them. I know you guys are going to prayer. What you getting? What you getting? I need a word from the Lord. What is God saying? And they still challenge me, Trina. You get on your knees. You hear from God. But it's that kind of dedication, loyalty to their family. and also teaching, even with tough love sometimes, because both of them have told me hard things sometimes that I didn't want to hear, but they were right on. They not only can hear from the Lord, but they speak the words of the Lord. And sometimes we didn't want to hear them. We didn't want to go to church, did we, Julie? Terry, we didn't want to go. But it's that tenaciousness that keeps our family together, and now we can spread that, hopefully, to our kids. I'm not half the mom that I have. I wish I was half the mom. She is. But she set that example, and my dad has been transformed, not only because of the power of God changing him, saving him, but also the love of an amazing woman. And that's what I hope that I can be that someday to a husband, and I hope I am that way to my kids. I try, but I am not like her. She is, she's patient. She's had to deal with me a whole lot, and it's been hard. And it's even last week when I asked her for prayer, she said, sometimes I'm just a mom, and it hurts me to watch you, and I know that it hurts her so much when her grandkids are going through things, or her kids, and she wants to get frustrated too, but she doesn't. She always leads us back to God. She never gets frustrated. It doesn't seem like with God at all, even though sometimes I do. It doesn't seem like she does, and I don't know how these two, they pray about everything, and their prayers are answered. Even as much as embarrassing me so much during high school, stopping outside of my high school with all of my friends driving by, laying hands on my head, praying that I would find my cheerleading uniform. I was mortified and still am to this day. My kids will tell me, you're not going to lay hands on us like Grandma does, do you? Are you, Mom? And so I purposely haven't, other than in the privacy of our home. I still do that. I still do the Kleenex in the pillowcases. It still works. It does. I've learned a lot of tricks from these ladies in the spirit. But it's really changed our life, and I think that mostly Mom wanted me to drive home the point that we have a godly heritage. Our family is truly blessed because of these two women and many, many others, our grandparents, aunts and uncles, and so on. And we are so fortunate and so blessed. That doesn't make us immune to the regular problems of life. The enemy hates all of us, and so he tries to destroy us through those things in our life. But God will raise up a standard against him if we stay faithful. And so my mom wanted to encourage everyone that even though you may not have come from a godly heritage, even though you may not have had praying aunts like we are blessed with, or grandparents that knew the Lord will use even those hard times, divorce or loss, to bless his people. And it doesn't feel like a blessing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying be thankful for those things that happen, but there is joy in those things when God turns those things around for his glory and our good. And so even though we go through those terrible things, and we would never want that on anyone, it brings you to your knees. And my mom wanted to encourage you to stay on your knees, to call for help. Do not go this alone. If you need something, cry out to them. Cry out to a friend, a trusted friend, but mostly cry out to the Lord, because he hears you, he loves you, he sees your tears, and he collects everyone in a bottle. Hold on to that, even if you don't have a godly heritage, a family that knows the Lord yet. They will. And you just might be that prayer warrior like these two are, that are going to turn your family around, and they're going to come to know the Lord just like we all have because of these two ladies. So I personally want to thank them. I love them so very much.
Okay, I can't leave out Janelle. She's my second marriage, now she's going to come up and say, I have no idea what she's going to say.
It's a little scary.
Yeah. My second marriage was 40 years. So,
I'm going to start with saying that my mom makes me do a lot of things I don't want to do, and this is definitely one of them. I did not want to do this. I remember once she made me poop behind someone's garage that we didn't even know because we were at a garage sale. She said, here's a Kleenex, go behind their garage and poop. I didn't want to do that.
it was emergency.
There's also been times where they've been opening the garage door and she made me roll under so I was the first one in, so I could get the stuff before anyone else did. So like she said, I am the youngest of all her kids. She said when she found out she was pregnant, she cried. I don't think she wanted to have a fifth kid, but she also said what did my dad say? The rhythm method didn't work. So here I am. I also tend to be an oversharer. And I knew it was coming. I could feel it. And my husband will usually put his arm around me and squeeze my neck when I start doing that, but he's not here, so it could be interesting. So anyway, so I was the youngest. I kind of feel like I was the glue that held my parents together. It wasn't always easy for them. They didn't have the best marriage, but they definitely endured and they held on and persevered through that. And they were both, I need to look at my notes real quick. Hold on. The garage sale thing got me all flustered. So I had two parents that both loved Jesus, which is such a blessing. You know, it's not, I don't think it's that common to have, number one, two parents, and both of them that love Jesus. So they started me out on the right path. I mean, I was in church all the time. My mom said she would go to church for anything just so she could put me in the nursery. She didn't care what it was. If the church was having something, she was there, and I was in the nursery. So I was at church all the time, and I loved growing up in church. I think there was a short time in high school where I kind of wandered a little bit, but it was a very short time. Like everyone's already said, my mom is so faithful in prayer, and Aunt Irene. They were always there. In the morning, at night, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Sundays, they were always there. Always. So a lot of times, I think it was called warfare prayer. They would go for that, and I didn't go to that. And about 9 o'clock at night, I'd be like, she should be home. This was before cell phones. So I couldn't call her and be like, why aren't you here? So I would sit in her room on her bed, and I could see out the window to the driveway, and I would sit there, and I would just stare at the driveway, waiting for her to come home. So then in my head, I'm like, okay, if she's not home in 5 minutes, she got in a car crash. If she's not home in 5 more minutes, she's probably not going to come home because she got in a really bad car crash. And eventually I'd see her headlights pull in the driveway and be like, okay, she didn't get in a car crash. It's great. And then there'd be times where I'd wake up in the morning and I couldn't find her anywhere. So I'd look out in the driveway, I wouldn't see her vehicle, and she wouldn't have left a note, and Heather was usually gone, so I was the only one home. And then I'd think, oh great, the rapture happened. The rapture happened and I got left. Again, no cell phones, so I couldn't call her. So then I'd call Grandma Ruth's house, 833-1042. Call Grandma's house, and if Grandma answered the phone, then I was like, okay, the rapture didn't happen. I'm okay. So this is like the most supportive person ever. I think about like growing up and all the things that I wanted to do, and she would just let me do them. I mean, it's crazy. When in high school, I was the football manager, and I just wanted all these boys to like me. So I would bake cookies for the whole football team, but not enough for them to just have one cookie, but so they could each have like 4 cookies. So my mom, every Friday, would take me to Scott's grocery store, and we would buy all the ingredients to make all these cookies every week. And I'm trying to think, I think I was the football manager for 3 years. So anyway, if you could add up how much money she spent, just because I wanted to do that. If my kids wanted to do that, I'd be like, no. Number 1, you're gonna make a big mess. And number 2, I'm not spending money on the football team. But she never even would blink. It was just like, I wanted to do it. If she could do it, she would do it. So she was super supportive. I'm even thinking like, she would let me just try everything. Like if I wanted to cook, she just would let me cook. If I wanted to make puffy paint shirts for all my sisters for Christmas and like somehow Mod Podge pictures of their kids on the front of those sweatshirts, she would buy all the stuff and just let me do it. So, and like Trina said, I wish I was a mom like her because I stink. When I look back and think how patient she was, and she never got mad, ever. And if she did, all I would do was pick her up. I just pick her up and kind of shake her around, and then she'd laugh, and then she wasn't mad. So I just, I wish I could be, even like Trina said, like half the mom she is, because she's the best mom. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, I just want to say that only God's word and his presence can heal and bring a new beginning to a ruined life. Make time for him every day and talk to him. He will speak to you. What the enemy meant for destruction, God turned around and used for good. Now we have some bracelets that we want to pass out, but before we pass them out, I have to give my testimony about the bracelets. Some people have already heard the testimony, but the first one that we got was Jesus, just say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. That's what the bracelet says. But it was such a revelation to me. I had migraines for years. Mom said I had them when I was a baby. But God had healed me of migraines. But every once in a while, I would get the symptoms. And I would start rebuking it. I know I'm healed in Jesus' name. Satan, you're a liar. Satan, you're defeated. And go through all this stuff. So one day when I'm at the shop working, I'm starting to get the migraines, the spots, and all this. And so I started rebuking it, and God stopped me and said, you don't have to do all that. You just say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I said, okay. So I started saying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And a little bit, it was totally gone. And he said, when you say Jesus, 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 that opens you up to receive what I have for you. And you can do it for anything. Just say Jesus, 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 because there's such power in that name. So that, and I was so excited. I called all my kids. I said, I just had this revelation. It's so easy. Why did it take me so long to just say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus? So that's the first bracelet. And Janelle, she actually ordered me some for Christmas. That was my Christmas gift. And she sort of did it as a joke because I kept telling the kids, everybody, just say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. I know they got tired of hearing it. But so she got me, and I have passed out over 400 of these Jesus bracelets. So then when this when it happened with Dave, when he had congestive heart failure. He passed away December 31st. But he's with Jesus. But one night when he fell out of bed, he tried to get to his wheelchair. We had to help him in and out of the wheelchair, and he had to go to the bathroom. So, but he fell out of bed. So I thought, okay, it was just me and him. How am I going to get him back in the wheelchair, in the bathroom, on and off the stool, back in the bed by myself? So anyway, we did it. We got it done. But then when I laid back down in bed, I said, how did that happen? And God said, there was Jesus. And I said, exactly. It wasn't me. It was Jesus. So every time when I would start having a hard time saying, God, I can't do this. I can't do it. He would say, there is Jesus. There was Jesus. So I said, we got to have bracelets made for that, for sure. And Dolly Parton sings, and Zach Williams, that's the song where I got it. There was Jesus. So we're going to play that song so you can hear the words, because it is awesome.